All right, it's 7 p.m. We're going to begin this regular meeting of the Rutherford Board of Education, September 29, 2025. We're going to ask everyone who can to please stand, face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll ask Mr. Whitford to please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian?
Present.
Mrs. Cole?
Present.
Mr. Conti?
Present.
Mr. Healy?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Maison?
Here.
Dr. Racine?
Here.
Mr. Sprayberry? Dr. Eladi?
Here.
Ms. Iorio?
Here.
Thank you.
All right. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Rutherford Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place posted on the bulletin board outside the Borough Clerk's office, mailed to the Herald, South Bergenite, and the Record newspapers, and filed with the Borough Clerk. Hard copies of the agenda are available in the meeting room, and the agenda is posted electronically on Friday before the meeting date on the district's website at www.rutherfordschools.org. Subsequent to the meeting, a video of the meeting will be uploaded to the district's website, www.rutherfordschools.org. The video link can be found by opening the Board of Education link and clicking on Public Meetings and then Videos. So board members, in your packets, there are regular minutes to approve from the regular meeting, September 8th, 2025. Are there any questions or comments on those? Hearing none, then I'll ask Mr. Whitford to please enter those. So we are going to start the meeting with our report of the student representative. Over to you, Sarah.
Good evening. So we are almost a month into the school year, and it has been going really well so far. For the most part, everyone's acclimated to their new classes, and many RHS clubs have started having their first meetings. We will also be having our first ever club fair this October, where students will be able to walk around to see all the clubs being offered. Current members and advisors will be making poster boards showcasing the club's purpose and explaining why ways that the students can contribute this year. This event will be especially helpful to the underclassmen who are looking for opportunities to get involved in our school but aren't quite sure where to start. Fall sports are now in full swing, and all of our teams have been doing very well. The football team is now 4-0 after winning the home game this past Friday. The RHS cheerleaders also won grand champion in a recent competition. They competed against 10 other teams and were named the best overall. Additionally, one of the freshman members of our cheer team won best running tumbling at the competition. The football team will be home again this Saturday for our homecoming game. This is also senior day for the football players, cheerleaders, and members of the marching band. The annual homecoming parade will be happening before the game, which students are definitely looking forward to. Pep Club members will be selling spirit wear, such as necklaces and stickers, this week during lunch to make sure everyone's ready for Saturday. The homecoming dance is also this Friday night, which is always a great time. The freshman class officers and student council representatives were elected. The new reps have officially become members of the student council homeroom, and we're looking forward to having some new faces to help make this a great year. Many RHS students have signed up to work the polls on election day this November. These students will be completing training this Thursday to prepare, and this will be many students' second year participating, as it was a success during both the November and June elections last year. The Future Teachers Club is planning a Halloween movie night for the elementary students to attend. There will be some fun crafts and activities, as well as a short movie for the kids to enjoy, and the club members will be volunteering to help make the night a success. From some of the other schools, the Kindergarten Center is excited to welcome the RHS class of 2038. They have been having a great start to the year so far and participated in High Fives to Hometown Heroes, where they invited some of the first responders to the K Center to learn about their roles and acknowledge their services in the community. Lincoln School students also honored first responders on 9/11 by wearing red, white, and blue and placing American flags outside the school. And finally, Washington School has started off the year with some student leadership opportunities. The third graders had a chance to teach the new first graders their school song at an assembly, And the third graders have also taken on the Pledge of Allegiance and morning announcements each day. And that's all I have for tonight, so thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Questions or comments from board members? Mr. Jones?
Can I just add to that Sarah looked wonderful at the football game the other night. In her
Thank
red,
you.
white, and blue outfit. I mean, that was quite a tribute to all.
Thank you.
Was that in the dog pound?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Mr. Mazzone?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on your report. I appreciate the comprehensiveness of it, and I really value how you touch on what's happening, not just at RHS, but at all the schools. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Mr. Healy?
Yeah, I just want to comment about the fall teams and all the success. It's amazing. And the Friday night football game was amazing, beating that team. That was a great game. Yeah. Thank
That
you.
was Sally Libera's son that scored the three-point kick.
Awesome. Any other comments?
And I think the Graham Jordan and the high school football team, they are up for Athlete and Team of the Week. So if you go online, you can vote for them.
Oh,
Yes.
NJ.com.
That's through the record, or NorthJersey.com. And homecoming is going to be later, right? The game is at 3
Yeah.
because of SATs, correct?
That's why it was moved later.
Yeah, and the parade will be like kicking off around 2 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so Board of Ed members, if you want to walk in the parade, we're going to meet by the field at the high school.
Right here, yep.
Right over here,
Right where you park,
1:45.
yeah.
And then we'll kick off at 2.
Yeah.
And wearing the board shirts? We've done that other
Weather
years.
should be appropriate for short sleeves, so if you have them, put them on. I think Board of Education shirts make sense.
We've done that other years.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, good.
Thank you. We always appreciate your board reports. You can feel free to stay if you'd like, and if you have other commitments, we understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, so we are going to move on to a special presentation of our board attorneys, and we have, I believe, hopefully I get the names correct, Vittorio Lapira and Stacy Cherry of Fogarty, Hara, Lapira, and Cherry. As we know, Rod Hara has retired, and so I will let Mr. Hurley do the introduction.
Well,
Or is that
you've been
basically it?
introduced, right? But yes, as certainly the board is aware, but the community may or may not be, Mr. Harrer of Harrer and Fogarty was our attorney for pretty close to 40 years, and we're very delighted to be staying with the firm. And I thought it'd be nice to have both attorneys, Vic and Stacy, come down to just say a few words, introduce themselves to the board. So it's yours. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. So Rod and Steve started this
I'm sorry, if you want to use the mic, because then the TV will pick you up.
yeah. Thank you so much. So,
Unless your first advice to me is plausible deniability, right?
sometimes lawyers will say that. That's true. Rod and Steve formed this law firm 41 years ago. They used to be, as some of you may know, like right up the street in Rutherford, which is where their first, or not their first offices, but some of their offices were, before moving to Fair Lawn. So we're excited to continue representing the board. It's been great. I know that I saw your business administrator today as I was giving a presentation to the New Jersey, or the Bergen County Association of School Business Officials to give a legal update. And Stacy is here as well, my partner. We both do all the various work that you need. Stacy focuses a little bit more than I do on special ed because she loves special ed, but we all do the full gamut. The only thing that Stacy doesn't do is any of the construction stuff. I don't do the construction myself, but I represent school districts involving construction disputes. All of the amateur construction that I do usually ends up poorly and taking twice as much time. So anyway, we're certainly happy to be here. And speaking of Rod Hara, if any of you want to know whether or not he's enjoying his retirement, that's a picture of him with his one of his grandsons. So he absolutely is on the beach, and so we love that for him. And he still keeps in touch once in a while. He visited the office last week, which is pretty nice. Anyway, anything for you?
I just wanted to say that we really appreciate being here, continuing our long-term standing relationship with the board, and looking forward to continuing to represent you. Obviously, if you have any questions or concerns, we're here to support you. Please reach out at any time. And we met with both the superintendent, director of special services, who I've known even previous to stepping in here. So really looking forward to working with the district and to you guys as well.
Right, and I do want to say that, you know, when we met in the end of August with Rod, and the three of us met, and I spoke about, well, you know, we don't really have to call the attorney all that much, and I think you started officially September 1st, and I believe September 2nd, I did have to send you an email, and I do want to say that the reply was prompt and really efficient and right to the point. So we're off to a good start. You know, it's one of those things, you want to have a good relationship, but you hope you don't have much of a relationship, because that means there's issues. But I was very pleased with that. So we're off to a good start. And you know, as Stacy said, we've crossed paths before, and she's worked with Michelle before. So I think it's going to be a different sweater, but just as comfortable of a sweater as what we had with Mr. Harrer. So welcome and thank you.
Yeah,
so much.
and just want to say welcome, and we look forward to speaking with you as little as possible.
Yeah, that's fairly typical.
Ms. Jones?
I'd just like to share with our new attorneys. I was on the board in 1985, and in 1986, we decided that we needed a new lawyer versed in school board law. And we thought we had picked the lawyer that we wanted, and in walked Rod Harrer into this very room, all 120 pounds of him. I don't think he was any more than 30, you know. And he took the last year's teacher's contract, and he just tore it apart where the board made so many errors. The president, who was Rusty Knight at the time.
And I had nothing to do with that, right? Let's make sure that's that's on the record. I was teaching English upstairs, yeah.
What I'm saying was that well, not me, but Rusty Knight figured he got it, this was the best we could do and so forth. And he just showed the board where we could have saved money and done a better job. There was no other discussion. He was hired that night. So he served us very well.
That's great. Well, and you know what? He and Steve Fogarty have been our role models as we've been attorneys. I've been with the firm for almost 23 years now. Stacy about 13 and a half. So yeah, we've always tried to model our careers after theirs.
Right.
And it's great to hear those stories. I get to hear a lot of those stories now. It's pretty great.
Is there, just out of curiosity, is there a lead person that the district speaks with?
You can always call me. If I'm not available, call Stacy. I mean, we're almost, one of the two of us are almost always available, except for last week we had to give presentations together a couple of days. So those were the days where it was a little bit hard to get us. But otherwise, yeah, feel free to reach out to me or Stacy. Either one is fine.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for having us. We
Yeah.
Thanks,
want to
thanks.
stop by and say hello.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a great rest of your board meeting.
And you're also welcome to stay for the remainder of the board meeting if you'd like, but if you have homework to do or other things you have to attend to, we understand.
You might be surprised, we do have some additional work that we have to do.
Not
thanks so
surprised.
much.
All right, thank you for coming. Means a lot. All right, so we're going to move on now to the report of the superintendent, where we have two special presentations. And we are going to start with something that is near and dear to a lot of us, the Rutherford Education Foundation. I want to acknowledge Mrs. Kathleen Breslau, who's here, who's the vice president of the REF. And the Rutherford Education Foundation supports a number of grants that teachers in the district apply for to really enhance the academic, athletic, extracurricular experience of all the students in the district. And I think this is the year where they're going to hit the $1 million mark of how much fundraising they've done. So super exciting. So I believe the format of this evening is we want to recognize and acknowledge all of the grants that are approved. And I've got some certificates for those. And Mr. Hurley's going to call the names off of the various grants.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So maybe Mr. Ryan, is he back there? If you want to just help Dr. Alati, because we have a lot of folks who couldn't make it, but I do want to call all of the grants so that people who are either here or will watch it on video get the idea of the number of grants. The REF last year awarded $79,781 in grants. It was 30 grants, and again, we thank Ms. Braslow and Maggie McGill and all the members of the REF. We also thank the community that, goes out and buys the tickets to various events and takes part in various fundraisers and to help the REF in that regard. And also the faculty and staff, because we do several fundraisers a year to help come up with prizes and the like for some of these fundraising events. So it really is a tremendous community program. And I think, Kathleen, I don't want to be wrong, that we're getting close to $1 million, right? Over
934,000 so far.
Isn't that
We will make
wonderful?
$1 million.
Right. And that's somehow I feel like Jerry Lewis all of a sudden. I'm on like a telethon here. You have to be a certain age to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's a remarkable feat in how many years now? 22 years. And we're going to be hitting the $1 million mark. So thank you. So the grants and the certificates, I'd like to just go through them. At the high school, Mackenzie leads for math calculators, Jamie Parnafiello and Jessica Perone for the Hero and Cool Kids program, Nicole Ely for Rubik's Cube Club, Sue Smith for Empowering Students for Interactive Language Learning program, Julie Wazalewski for Corla's Microscope project in science. Here to get her award, which was a nice award to enhance the Festival of the Arts in high school, Stephanie Castellano. So Stephanie, come on up. Also from the high school, Danielle Moore had a chemistry club grant and also Women in STEM program that the REF has funded for a number of years. Steve Dunn at the high school, some improvements to the health and wellness, AKA weight room at the high school. Nicole Bowden and Stephanie Curtis, Read Across Rutherford Day. And, Read Across Rutherford Day and the Heroes and Cool Kids, these are programs that also, reach out to the elementary and the middle schools, so they're an encompassing program. Matt Vaccaro, who is from Pierpont, but also co-directs the high school plays, a theater lighting project here at the high school. Jackie Kozak at the high school for a one gel electrophoresis system in science. I was an English teacher, so I'm not sure what that means. And Dave Frazier to replace the ice machine. So it'll be quieter when we go to executive session now. The board actually put that grant in, but we asked David to do it. And those are the high school grants. From Union School, Erica, you're here, Gibbons, and she did a microscope project for the middle school. You're going to hear us talk later in the report of student achievement a little bit about upgrading the science program, and you see there's several grants here for science. Megan Collins, also, you're here, Megan, for a independent reading club. Love of reading through independent reading. And Lauren Fuchs for whiteboard desks at the Union School as well. So those are the Union School grants. Also at Union School, Bill Huffingstein and Tara Motoika for 3D printers. At Lincoln School, Liz Freitag for a social skills program in the special ed classroom. At Washington School, Lori Catalano for a book club, chapter chats it's called. Anthony Melfa, physical education for upgrading the recess, some things for including a screen to around the fence to help with balls and stuff going over at Washington School. And Washington School, Jessica Saxon, a collaborative digital display system for the gym and the multipurpose room. And Hala Podolasic and Natalia San Pedro for musical chairs, flexible seating, and elementary students. Those, and Megan McLeod for classroom dividers in the ABA room, and Gina Ballesteri for innovative tools for enhanced learning. So those were Washington School. At Pierpont School, here is Joan Macri for relaxation and creativity at the Coloring Club. put that grant. And also, Joan, stay up there, you and Matt Vaccaro for improving facts with extra math. So there's 2 grants that Joan put in. Tara Philp at Pierpont for March Madness Brain Games and a social emotional learning event. Rebecca Macri, come on up, digital arts teacher for digital cameras. And Matt Vaccaro, who is at Pierpont, as I said, also does plays there, stage wing curtains at the stage in Pierpont. And also at Pierpont, Brianne DeStacy and Caitlin Jeffers for the PBSIS incentive program. So you can see a wide range of grants covering curriculum, co-curricular, social emotional learning, special education, so many different facets of the school. So we appreciate all that the REF has done to help us with this fundraiser. So thank you all. I'll play the role of Dr. Alati before I move on to my report of student achievement, which you may or may not want to hear. But if the teachers have some homework you want to go on to, you can take care of that. And I'm going to ask Mr. Ryan to come up and join me for the this presentation. First, he's taking a picture for the newsletter. So, yeah. Mr. Ryan wears many hats. Included in the packet, well, Mr. Ryan has this long title we've talked about before, but part of his responsibilities is to be the district-wide test director. And along with that responsibility, he goes through the large amount of data that we get from the state, and also the template from the state that is part of the requirements for the testing program to do this report of student achievement, and he puts it together. So I thought I'd have him join tonight to walk through some of it. In your packet, you all received a copy of it. This will be on the website either tomorrow or no later than Wednesday. The individual student scores were mailed out on Friday, so depending on the mail, could have arrived at home Saturday, today, or certainly within the next day or two. And as I said, we are required under a code to report to the public and to the board on this for student achievement. As I've said in the past, we've made some gains in some areas. We've stayed flat in some areas, which is not a bad thing. There's a couple of areas of concern that we're going to address, but I'll let Mr. Ryan walk you through. We'll refer to certain page numbers if you're interested in looking, or you could just listen to the report, and I'll have him start off by walking you through. Charlie?
Sure. Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. So this is basically the NJSLA is a standards-based summative assessment that we use to gauge student understanding of the standards from the state. What we started to do last year is put our notable achievements first, kind of highlighting what we as a district are doing very well. During CUSAC, they really liked the fact that we put it first. They appreciated the fact that we were, going positive, which we have to do, and really accredit ourselves. Like Mr. Hurley said, we have some highs, we have some flatness, and we have some lows, which we're addressing, which we'll discuss tonight. Our average at Lincoln Washington School is 18% above the state on the ELA exam and met or exceeded. At Pierpont School, grades 4 through 6, we took the average, is 22.5 over met and exceeds the state average. Union School in ELA is 23% over the state average for meet and exceed. And then at RHS, grade 9 ELA is 18%. So we were very proud of that. ELA program, we're doing very well. We'll discuss a couple of dips later on in the evening with ELA, what we're doing for it, but for the most part, very strong results. Our math program, as you know, we went to Envision Math last year, and I think we saw some positive results from that. We also restructured the sequence of courses, which we talked about a lot last year, and we're now seeing it come through with what we've been testing. Lincoln and Washington, again, 18.7 above the state average and meets and exceeds for math for grade 3. Pierpont School is 25.3% average meets and exceeds for grades 4 through 6 in math. Union School is 38.4% exceeds in math for grades 7 and 8. The Math 8 test, we scored 19% above the state average, and this is the first time our students took this test. So very proud of that. And if you look at our grade 7 math scores, 38% above the state average in meets and exceeds, and our Algebra 1, 57.6 above state average in meets or exceeds. So we're, very proud of the scores that we've been having so far.
If I can just interject
Yes,
one
sir.
thing, the math averages grade 3 through 8, are well above. I mean, 57% above is a significant 30% above. And, it's probably too early to talk about the Envision and the impact it had, but it clearly has had an impact. I hear from teachers and I hear from students, anytime you change something, right, there's usually some people that just push back against change. It's been pretty much universal with the teachers, and the results, I think, are beginning to show that. So we're very pleased with that.
Good. So in science, in grades 5, 8, and 11, and I know this has been discussed every year, Mr. Hurley goes into great detail saying how the state scores that we don't know. We don't get the standards. We don't get the reports back. So we're kind of flying blind in some areas, but we did show some growth this year with science. We're 15.5 above the state average in science for grade 5. That's proficient and advanced proficient. Our students, 46.6 scored proficient, advanced proficient, grade 5. Grade 8 science, 16.2, higher than the state average, and 35.2% were proficient and advanced proficient. So we're looking at that. We see these as gains for what we've been trying to tackle again, without the composite of standards that we don't really know what they're testing. We know the categories, some of which earth science, life science, physical science, investigating practices, sense making, and critiquing practices. These are all the categories, but we don't have the standards. We don't get the results back, such as that. Something that we added this year for the first time were areas of concerns. These are areas that we found as highlights and are actionable areas that we are now acting on to improve the scores. So we added that this year. Our Algebra 8 students at the high school scored 28%.
Algebra 1.
What's that?
Algebra 1.
Algebra 1. Algebra 1 students at the high school scored 20% lower than the state average in meets or exceeds. So this is a major area of concern for us. As well as our geometry scores were 18% lower than the state average. So Mr. Morano and Ms. Schmedding are working together to create an action plan to address this, and everything's on the table. We're looking at it as like FDR and the New Deal. Like, look at everything. PD, teacher placement, with standards, trying to investigate standard analysis, putting together data teams, working on PLC meetings, just trying everything we can possible to raise those scores.
Yeah.
Those aren't those classes that are generally taught at Union?
No.
So what happened with the new sequence? At Union School, we have it's kind of like an honors track. So the students who took that, we had 61 students at Union School take Algebra 1. The rest of the students took Algebra 8. Okay. So as they go up, those students last year are taking Algebra 1 again, who didn't pass or whatever.
Right.
67 students at the high school taking Algebra 1 this past year.
Right. So
The majority of the students next year will be taking Algebra 1 because of the sequence change that we put in place last year.
Right. So the kids who took the Algebra 1 test at the high school, to your point, some of them, they were taking it last year for the second time. Okay. And the geometry, those are a larger group of kids. The kids who did well in Algebra 1 in grade 8 were taking geometry. So, I mean, these scores really are not acceptable. There's no way to really put a positive on it. They're comment that Mr. Ryan just made, they're not working on an action plan. The action plan's done. I have a copy of it already because I didn't really want time, neither did Mr. Morano, want time to work on it. And as you said, everything is on the table. You know, we're looking at, and you know, I understand math gets harder, gets a little more challenging. High school kids, you know, when they changed the testing 10 years ago, maybe 15, I don't remember exactly, where the graduate used to take the test in grade 11, and that was your graduation test. Now this test is taken in grade 9 or 10. You take a separate test for your graduation test. So I can get it where a high school kid might say, like, you know, what's the motivation? But, so we're a little above state. Okay, that argument could fly, but not to be below. Okay, it's unacceptable. So the areas that we're looking at, the action plan, are a deeper dive into data review, once again, an examination of curriculum alignment, looking at kind of a gap analysis of where we want to be and where we are. Targeted instruction, test-taking strategies, professional development for staff, looking at the test-taking environment, looking at family and student engagement. Maybe, you know, to deal with that comment I just made about the motivation of the student. How can we maybe get them to be more motivated? Now, in language arts, the scores were good, but they were a little dip from what we had in the past. So Mr. Ursulisi, despite the fact that we're doing fine, is created a similar action plan. Okay, so, you know, again, I look at tremendous to close to tremendous scores till we get to that one area. The comment about the science, I just want to make that point. I've talked to you about this before. It's a different test company. It's a different test. We get data. The data we share with you and with the public, which is what we're told that we have to share, is the tip of the iceberg. And just to give you, you've seen me hold this up before. For every, there's a graph where the green is you're above state, the blue is the state, right? And on the back, it's every standard, the question that was asked. And on the back, it breaks down what the standard is. So you could take a look and you can say, well, how come on this standard we were below? How come on this? And then you could dig into curriculum or we don't get any of that with science. So they just say, here's your score, and that's it. And if you look at the data that, you know, were sent to you, won't really go into it, you'll see that state scores, state averages are very low in science too. So whether it's an issue with the test, whether it's an issue, I'm not sure what it is. But it just strikes me as odd that every kid in the state does considerably worse in science than they do in language arts and math. So
Mr.
we
Hurd, I have a question.
only can deal with what we have.
So what does the state say about the science if they're not giving you the standards? What is their?
For next, for
Yeah.
I mean, the new test? Yeah, well,
They're gonna have the
we'll get to that at the end.
standards?
They haven't said, we don't really know a lot about the new test that's coming out. In fact, the field test that we have to do in what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Mr. Ryan's been to 2 different training sessions, but they've been trained in virtually nothing because they keep saying we're waiting for more information to come out. So I want to talk briefly at the end about, we may get a shorter report next year because we won't have a lot of comparative data to share, but we'll talk about that a little bit at the end.
But science is the only one that's changing?
No, everything's changing. Everything's changing.
So we'll get into that, and it's a totally different concept. So speaking of that, we also, Mr. Schmedding put together an action plan for science too, because the high school, grade 11, was 0.06 below the state. So like right there, so they did show gains from last year, but still working on getting it above the state is our goal. Slide 8, we have a series of basically comparison graphs between 2024 and 2025. This part I like to see because you can see the growth, you can see how we're changing, how much better, you know, if we improved or if we didn't improve, scores go down. It's always fun. Last year we had a big dip in grade 4, both ELA and math. This year they saw gains, like 12.9% gains in ELA, and you can see that across the board. If you go across the levels from level 1, 2024 to level 5, level 1, 2025, you can see an increase. But you can also see the growth. If you go down to grade 5 ELA and kind of go across, you can see that in level 1, between a year with those same students, 2% decrease, which is what we want. In the 1, 2, and 3, you want to decrease. 4, 5, you want to increase. In level 2 to level 2, the last 2 years, went down 4%. Level 3, from last year to this year, went down 13%, and then we saw growth in 4 and 5. That's where we get the 12.9. So again, a pocket where we went down, it was addressed with Ms. Carrion, and she has a data team that they assemble, and they look at the standards, they look at the bubble students, so they did a really good job. Same thing on this, you could see in ELA 9, there was a dip. We went down, even though we're still 18% above the state, we went down 23% than what we were last year. So that's what Mr. Ursulisi, he put together a comprehensive action plan to address that as well.
And the thing I want to remind you, I say this every year, you know, the test is supposed to be about student growth, but the reports are given by grade levels. So you say, well, we didn't do as well in grade 7 this year than last year. It's a whole different group of kids, right? So, you know, when you look at the charts that you have, if you want to look at them, if you go across, you go grade level, but if you kind of follow down, right, you can see, hey, last year the kids went up or they went down as they went forward, okay? So you know, they don't really give you the individual growth. You have to kind of look for it, but that's what we try to look at.
Yep. And same thing, like I said, for math, grade 4, they went up 13 points, and if you're going to look at the growth, it's there. So the work they really pulled off, and we're expecting the same for ELA 9. Again, this is a one-year anomaly we looked at, we rectified it through the data analysis, through doing things, and it was rectified. Grade 9, we're looking at the same thing. You also have comparisons for science on grade 10. If you look at 3 and 4, which is proficient and advanced proficient, we're up. We're up 8 points in grade 5. We're up 6 points in grade 8, and we're up 2.6 points in grade 11. So we did see growth in science, despite the fact that it looks like low numbers. In those grades, for the most part, like we said before, in 5 and 8, we went up. So we also have, by compliance, we have to state how many students, what percentage of students took the test. So we compare that year after year. If you look at that, and again, we're pretty compliant. Some parents do sign off refusals for their students not to, but we don't have as much as that as we did back in the park days. Again, it's not, they can't opt out. It's legally, they cannot opt out. That's the language. So we don't have opt-outs, we have refusals. So that's the terminology that we use.
But you'll see it's pretty much 100%
Yep.
this past year,
Yeah,
with the exception of the math, right? And you
With the
explained
math.
that before
Yep.
because
So with grade 8, like we talked about before, 2/3 took the grade 8 math, 1/3 took the algebra. That's why you see the numbers at like 63, 68. Same thing with geometry, it's kind of split. 1/3 took algebra 1, 2/3 took geometry.
and algebra is 68 because a third of the 8th graders and a third of the
Right.
9th graders.
Right. And last year, we had in math, science, 100% across the board, so that was pretty good. So then you go to another section that compares 24 and 25, and then you also compare the state in there. So you then delve deeper in the growth comparison, but then you can also compare it by state. And again, levels 1 through 3, you want to see go down, and levels 4 and 5, you want to see go up. And we had that trajectory for ELA. And then we get into the ELA interventions. What our supervisors do, they do a deep dive into those analysis. What Mr. Hurley held up was a performance level summary, which basically has where we are the standards. We also have content standards rosters, where we have every student who took the test and the standards that they did well on and the standards that they weren't proficient in. So we can then go see those standards and teach those standards for those students. So they give us a plethora of data that we can use. So Mr. Ursulisi put that together and put together a bunch of interventions for each grade level. The teachers follow those and then work on that to improve for next year.
The same for math.
And then you can see with the math scores, again, year 24, 25, then compared to the state. Again, we're looking for scores in 1 through 3 going down, scores in 4 through 5 going up, And we saw that except for, as we discussed before, Algebra 1 and Geometry. Saw that trend.
Good. So on the interventions, you know, the action plan, we get raw scores in July.
July, yeah.
And so we can start working on the interventions based on those raw scores. We don't get the official report until early September. And the scores that come to us in July are embargoed in terms of sharing them with parents or the public or the board or anything. They're embargoed. So these interventions are what we have to put in to be compliant, and they may very well stay, but like I said, the action plan, everything's off the table.
Right.
You know, as my blood pressure went up for that one grade level score, I made the analogy that if I'm taking blood pressure medication and it doesn't go down, then I don't keep taking the same medication, right? So if we're doing interventions and the scores aren't getting better, well, we have to look at the interventions. So it could very well be that they do their dive and they say, hey, this isn't the problem, these are still the ones to do, but everything's on the table.
So
But we have to check the box with the state too. We have to say that tonight we're presenting interventions, right? And they're fine, they're things that we have used for years, but we might want to add, we might want to subtract, we might want to get something new.
Yeah. This year we're kind of blowing it up, but we were commented on our interventions during QSAC. They did appreciate they really like our intervention, use it kind of as a model for the county. So they were impressed by that. And Ms. Schmedding went through and put together the math strategies for each grade level. And again, with these action plans, kind of takes over from these strategies, but this is also compliant, as Mr. Hurley said.
Yeah, we did get very good remarks on, you know, we've been using this format for years, and the people from QSAC really liked it, and I know it's the state, but you know, the state doesn't say you have to use it, you know, they suggest things, and they like the transparency of the report that we're using just about every template they give us.
Yep. And then it has the state comparison of the science as well, that we went through and talked about previously.
Okay.
And then the science strategies. Now, the science strategies are more difficult to do because we don't have the standards attached. So, but she still does a good job of looking at exploring resources, continue to implement CER, which is claim, evidence, reasoning. That's a new writing formula. They're really working hard to that. Compiling supplemental resources, examining practice assessments, and released items. Whatever we can get, we use. So that's how she's addressing that in interventions. And then we look at the subgroup report. The first part you see in ELA and math, there's a gender subgroup, just how it's broken down. You then have performances of ELA subgroups. We see that in grades 3, 4, 5 are economically disadvantaged, we're low. So this is addressed through Title I tutoring. So we're taking those students, we have federal funds that we use for after-school tutoring. We'll then take these students and place them into after-school tutoring to kind of address that dip in the economically disadvantaged. You then have in math subgroups, again, economically disadvantaged and Hispanic took a dip in the high school. So we're looking at that, how to address that. And then we found that 2 races really went up in all categories. So we saw an increase there in terms of that subgroup. In math, students with disabilities went down in 4, 5, 6, but they shot up in grade 7. I think that's a tribute. Again, we scored 38.8% in grade 7 math, and I think that has to do with a lot of our special ed students doing well in that as well. So we're looking at what they did and kind of replicating it for the other subgroups, working with the child study teams, working with special services to address the dip in for the students with disabilities. Again, students with disabilities, ELA as well, we saw a dip go down, so we're looking at that and what we can do to assist those students. Subgroup performance in science across all boards, they went up. So it's really good. All our subgroups went up in science, and I think that attributes to the fact that our scores did better than previously. So that was a good trend that we saw coming in. And then our dynamic learning maps is an alternative assessment to the NGSLA for our significantly cognitive developed students. So they take an alternative test. We can't report this year on them because we had less than 10 students who participated. So anything less than 10, we're not allowed to because of FERPA laws. And that brings us to our profile class of 2025.
Yeah, the graduate report, I gave this a couple of weeks ago in a different format that I had to give it, but 74% of going to 4-year college, 16% to 2-year college, for a total of 90%, 5% to non-college grade, so it means a technical school or vocational school, so 95% for further education, and 5% either employment or, I think we had a few for the military as well. The cohort rate of 94%, again, I reported a couple of weeks ago that all 198 students graduated, but here we're showing 94%. It goes back to what I was talking to you about, this 18 to 21 program, where those kids count as non-graduates. Many of them are the kids who sit for the DLM test. So I'm on a conference call on Wednesday with a state senator and a state assemblywoman to talk about this, and I'll be going to Trenton on, I think it's November 10th, either the 10th or the 12th, with a bunch of other superintendents to speak to the full legislative body about this, to see if we can get something rectified there. So we'll keep you posted on that. Advanced placement, we continue to really do a remarkable job of 363 exams taken by students, the most we've ever given, students have ever taken, 90% scoring a 3 or higher, which is what's considered quote-unquote passing. Again, that's not the highest we've ever done, but one of the highest. 187 students tested with a score of 3+ out of a total of 207 students tested. So it's really remarkable. I'm sure we'll be back on the College Board honor roll again, which will be, I think, the 5th or 6th consecutive year. And one of the things I've been trying to talk about with everybody that wants to listen about whether the student is a special ed student, whether the student is struggling, whether the student is an honors or advanced student, that giving everybody the opportunity, okay? Don't label somebody that they're not going to be able to do it. We opened up advanced placement to just about anybody who wants to take it, and the results have been great, as opposed to thinking you're watering it down. We've increased the test, and the kids have met the rigor. So we're very proud of that. And you can see the score report for previous years. I stand corrected, 90% is the highest we've done. I think there might have been one year when we were higher way back when. But it is remarkable growth. You can see the number of kids scoring 3 or above on that slide. SAT.
SAT, we had 149 students take the SATs this year. It was up 10 students from last year. We had 139 students take it last year. Our mean SAT score is 1103. New Jersey's mean is about 1049, and the national mean is about 1024. So we're up 79 points from the national and 54 points from New Jersey. Reading and writing, we're at 568, where New Jersey is 530, and the national is 510. So we're up 38 points and 49 points, respectively. And then with math, 536. The New Jersey state average is 519, and the national average is 505. Again, we're above the state average and national average in SATs. ACTs, we saw a dip go down. Only 11 students took it. Our score is at a 25 composite score. The national score is 19.5, and the state score is 24.1. Last year we had 16 students take the ACTs versus 11 students this year.
Yeah, the ACT is more of a subject-based test versus the SAT, which is more of a critical thinking wrapped around a couple of subjects.
So finding like with college admission, the SAT is more of a comeback now in the last 5 years than it has been.
So, I believe, just a couple of quick comments. We mentioned to Ms. Cole's question before that the state has partnered with a new company to provide the state testing, Cambria, right?
Cambria.
Yep. Instead of Pearson. The test is going to be an adaptive test, which means if you answer a question correctly or incorrectly, it takes you down a different path, okay? There's a lot of questions that raises in terms of if I'm answering a question incorrectly and I'm going down this road, am I hitting a 7th grade standard or am I hitting a even though I'm a 7th grader, or am I hitting a 6th grade standard because I went down, I got it wrong road, that kind of thing. When we start looking at data from past to now, is there going to be some kind of a guide to help us make those connections, or is it not? We don't have any information about that at all. Okay, none. We are giving a field test, us and everybody in the state, short, I think it's 2 days of 2 hours, right?
Yep.
To grades 4 through 10, 4 through 10. So it's the kids who took the test last year, and but it's not the new adaptive test. It's the old version of the test.
It's the standard.
They just want to see how the new company works with the technical side of it.
And they're also setting a state benchmark
Right.
by these scores, because they're testing the students based on what they took last year.
So they're saying benchmarks, but they're also, but it's really not the real tests are going to be. So, again, we've gone to, not we, Charlie and Jackie Gagliardo and Steve Matt, and some of our administrators and supervisors have taken a few of the online, and it's really very cloudy. Very, very, very slow in coming out with stuff. So we don't know very much. So, I think it's going to be a little bit of a rocky year. I'm not talking about the kids' performance. I'm talking about the administrative side of it. It's going to be a little bit of a rocky year. But that's going to be the test in the spring. That's going to be the one that counts. It's not piloting. It's not a field test. It's going to be the one that counts. Okay, and we'll keep you up to date. If we hear, I wish I could give you something a little more definitive, but we really don't have anything more definitive. Okay? So that's it. Any questions or comments for Mr. Healy?
As far as the action plans for algebra and geometry, at this point, do you know what resources, and if so, would it be within the budget, or will you need supplemental funds to do that?
Well, we have some title money we could use for certain things.
In regards to PD, we can use Title II funds. That's for professional development. So we are looking at, Ms. Schmedding's looking at what kind of PD we can get for the teachers, and that could be used through title funds.
It's also a plan that it may have a bigger impact next year, because the first thing we have to do is do like a dive into data, right? And then, we can't put the kids on pause, right? So, if we find out we got to do something a little different come November, December, January, we can start doing it, but it's really going to be next year. We're limited to how we're going to get additional funding, but what I want to look at is a hard look at what we use and see if we need to reallocate funds to do something else. But to your point, I want to be able to accept or reject an idea based on the holistic picture of how things fit, right? Schedule, money, things like that, training. But I want the recommendations to come, this is what we think we need.
As if they were funded, yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Mazzone?
Yeah, I just greatly appreciate the district coming forward so transparently with the data. I think it is commendable, and I'm really impressed with development of the action plans so quickly, and your words about defining like a gap analysis, because if the plan ain't working, get a new plan, right? Question I had, and I don't think we did, but with all the federal back and forth, did we lose Title I money?
No, minimal.
Okay.
10,000, and none of that would have any impact here. It all came after the fact. But no, minimal, and in areas that really won't have a major impact on.
Did we lose any Title II? I don't think we did.
No.
Perfect. Okay.
We went out with Title III.
Yes, we're okay there. And one of the things that, again, when you look at our AP scores, right, and you look at our SAT scores, like Mr. Ryan's telling you, they're above the state and national, you start to wonder how much of that motivational thing we're talking about for kids factor in. But we have to make sure they understand the importance of it to them and to the district, and so that's going to be part of the plan too, because it doesn't make sense to me that we're going to be handing out in 3 weeks, right, a whole bunch of Board of Ed awards. We're above the average in SATs, we're above the average in ACT, we're above the average in AP. So why are we below average on this test. So, you know, I mean, that's why I'm saying I want to look at everything. I know we have pep rallies for the state testing, that may not, but we have to ask our student rep if she'd like that, I'm not sure.
Any other comments or questions about the test results?
And can I just end on one positive? First, I want to thank Mr. Ryan, puts a ton of work into this. But, you know, 96%, I don't know, I don't want to have a problem with my math. You know, 96% of these scores are outstanding, you know. But, you know, as an old coach, you know, you look at the things you didn't do right. I used to say former coach, now I'm an old coach. You look at things that you didn't do right. So, but, you know, I don't want anybody either listening to this or watching it on video to think the sky's falling here. Really, it's not. But there's a couple areas, and I'm not going to accept saying, hey, everything else is okay, don't worry about it. Right? We're going to worry about it. We'll see what we can do.
I would argue you're still a coach, but maybe not
Yeah.
baseball coach or soccer coach.
Yeah. Well, but that's why I say I'm an old coach. I used to be former, now I'm old.
Got it. Mentor coach.
Yeah, mentor.
One of the things I like to do after hearing a report is to ask if there are questions from board members, because the board always brings up great questions and makes great comments, and really appreciate your transparency with the test results and the budget question. So just appreciating also the board engagement with this as well. It's really important.
Absolutely. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Absolutely.
My pleasure. Thanks, Wes. All right. Have a good evening.
You too. All right, so
I think for now, that's it. I'll have a couple of comments when we get to the area, okay? Is it?
Okay.
You know. All right. Okay.
All right, so my only comments that I had, I already talked about homecoming and 1:45 on Saturday. Our next board meeting, October 20th, is going to be in the high school gym, high school auditorium, where we will be celebrating the BOE Scholastic Awards for all of our students who received a certain GPA in a number of grade levels. So that'll be our next meeting, 7 p.m. there. And we will take a pause after that, and then we'll walk over here for the remainder of the meeting. All right. So we have two sets of times where we open the meeting to the public. The first for anything related to the agenda. So at 7:58 p.m., we'll open the meeting to anyone who has any comments related to the agenda this evening. Hearing none, we will close the meeting to the public, and we're going to move on to new business where there is action to be taken, and we are going to begin with personnel. Mrs. Cole.
Good evening. Personnel did not meet this month, and we had 15 motions to be put forward tonight at the recommendation of the superintendent.
All right, thank you very much. So Mrs. Cole has moved all of those. Do we have a second? Mr. Bogosian? Questions or comments about anything in personnel?
Yes, I have under agenda item number 13, we're going to redact, take out the name of Mr. Narozny, third up from the bottom, for that training. That's in there by error. So we'll have the minutes reflect that.
You said Matt, Mr. Barcaro, you said?
Narozny.
This one? Okay.
Okay? So that'll be, the minutes will reflect that change.
All right. Questions or comments from board members? All right, so just a reminder to the public, we move to a consent agenda. So basically, when we get to the chair of each committee speaking about their section, they are going to move all of these items at one time, and then that will give us more time to have questions from board members and discussion about the things related to those areas. So that is personnel. So hearing no other questions and comments, I'll ask Mr. Whitford, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maison?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Dr. Alati.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. We are going to move on now to curriculum and instruction. Ms. Jones?
Thank you. We did not have a meeting under curriculum and instruction. And tonight there are 7 motions, and I am moving all 7 motions.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second? All right, Mrs. Cole? And questions or comments about anything related to curriculum and instruction?
I just want to clarify again for the board, a reminder that resolution number 4, which annually the board has to approve the self-assessment for the district on anti-bullying training for both faculty and staff, and also following and students programs, as well as reporting and all that. And a reminder that the score of 74 for the district and 78 is a score that I think the total can be 78. So we're in good stead. What you're approving is just for us to submit this, and then back when we get it approved at the state level, around January or so, I will come back and I'll report it again.
And these were the numbers that you were already reported in the, opposed to the previous meeting.
They're for
wasn't it?
24 and 25.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, Mr. Whitford, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maison?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Dr. Alati.
Yes.
Motion's carry.
All right, thank you. We'll move on now to finance. Mr. Bogosian.
We did not have a need for a meeting since our last full board meeting. Tonight on the agenda, we have 4 items to consider. I would like to move motions 1 through 4 under finance.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second? Mr. Mazzone, questions or comments about anything related to finance? All right, no. Hearing no comments, Mr. Whitford, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maison?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Dr. Alati.
Yes.
Motion's carry.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to policy. Any update, Mr. Healy?
Yes, we did not have a policy committee meeting since the last board meeting, and there are no resolutions for tonight.
Okay. We'll move on now to buildings and grounds. Mr. Sprayberry is not here, but there has not been a meeting of the Building and Grounds Committee, and there's nothing to move forward. So we will move on from there. Before we go on to old business, Mr. Hurley and I spoke before the meeting, and Mr. Hurley was going to make a couple of comments. We want to open up the floor first. Sorry. Okay. We're going to open the meeting to the public for the second time, and this is anything related to or not related to the agenda. Anything related to or not related to the agenda? Nope. Okay. Then we are going to close the meeting at 8:03 p.m., and then we are going to move on to old business. Is there any old business?
Yeah, I want to just comment. I know there's been some scuttlebutt in the community about a petition that's going online, and we have not been presented with the petition results yet, but it's out there, and it has to do with school calendar. So I just wanted to remind the board, we've had these discussions in the past when either someone's had a question about the calendar or when we put the calendar together every year. Okay? So the way Board of Education, the way we and the way all boards of educations put together their school calendar is a multi-layered approach. First, you have to look at how many contractual days you have with your faculty and staff. We have 187. Many districts have around 183, 184, but we have 187. And we also then look at the number of days in the contract are labeled as student days, and we have 183 for some grade levels because of the parent conferences, and 184 for the other. And the state requires 180, so we have an additional 3 to 4 days, which makes our calendar pretty tight. The other thing you look at are anticipation of if you're going to close school, or when you're going to close school, what the impact would be on either faculty and staff attendance or student attendance. Because if you have either at a high level, faculty and staff attendance, absences are high, that creates a major issue in terms of security, safety, and academics. And if you have a large number of students out, it also impacts the academics of the day. So in addressing, like the survey is, why the district doesn't have Diwali off, as we look at the calendar, there are 58 religious holidays that the state allows students to take off as an excused absence, which means it doesn't count towards non-credit policy. There are also 10 federal and state holidays, and that's during just the months of September to June, those religious holidays and state holidays. So when you look at a calendar, you try to look at an anticipated rate of absences, and you look at your demographics. So in 2024, published online, Rutherford, two different groups, Dwellix and Sperling, that took, I guess, census data. The Christian population in Rutherford was between 58 and 60%, depending on which survey you look at. No religion, 34 to 36%. Jewish, 4.2, pretty much consistent in both. Muslim, 0.5. Hindu, 0.8. And Mormon, 0.2. When we look at closing school on a holiday, we look at sometimes what is the impact when we're open on schools. So for example, and this is a year old, this data, but on the 3 Jewish holidays in the 24 school year, less than 1% of the students were absent, 23 students. And we had, I believe, I'm looking at myself, we had 3 staff members absent, okay, for the days. So again, that's why we don't close school. We have less than 1%. For Diwali, we had 0 faculty absent. We had 45 students, which is less than 2%. Now last year, the data showed none absent, which I found interesting, but because if you're absent, now a student may have been absent but didn't call it a religious excuse, because if they call it a religious excuse, it doesn't count against them. So in Bergen County, 96% of the schools are open for Diwali, 92% are open for Eid, and this is from 2024. It may have changed a little bit. 94% are open for Lunar New Year, 82% are open for Juneteenth. A larger number are closed for the Jewish holidays. However, in this in the South Bergen area, 9 of the 10 schools are open for the Jewish holidays. Again, that has to do more with population. So the calendar is really based on the days you have to get in and how many students will be absent. And a student is allowed to take off for a religious holiday without it being charged against them in any way. Okay? So I just wanted that information out there.
Thank you. So, Mr. Hurley and I talked about this beforehand because we became aware a few days ago about this online petition. So I really appreciate your transparency, Mr. Hurley, putting this in the open session on the record so that if anyone brings this to your attention and have questions, you can refer them to Mr. Hurley, you can refer them to this recording, and obviously as a Board of Education, we're paying close attention to things like this, and this is important to be able to value community voices, and you know, if any of the information that Mr. Hurley changes, demographic information or whatnot, I'm sure the community will be made aware, so that we can, you know, adjust accordingly as we might need to in the future.
Yeah, and also the calendar is presented to the Teachers Association, to the administrators and supervisors first, to make sure there's nothing, when we put it together, we want to make sure, you know, I'm not missing something in a contract that's going to come back and be a problem. Then it's presented to the board and to the public, it's published in the board agenda, and there's always the opportunity for input from anybody about the calendar. It's not done, you know, it's done at a public board meeting every year.
Questions or comments from board members? All right, old business. Mr. Mazzone? Oh, comment. Yep.
I appreciate the detail in which, you know, it was all very well explained. I also know from having been on the board for a lengthy period of time, the challenges of working that schedule together. So, in light of the fact that there's a petition out there, I know that we're looking at doing surveys, like climate surveys. Is it something that we can consider including in a climate survey about, you know, because I think it's important for community members to understand that if they have a religious holiday they wish to practice, it's considered an excused absence.
Well, everybody's told that.
Right, I understand,
Right.
but whether or not that gets communicated down, they read the student handbook, but I wonder if it's something we can put in one of the climate surveys.
Well, I'd like to see when we get the results back, you know, because and again, I'm talking off the top of my head.
Of course.
I'd say 40% of the survey was open-ended.
Right.
So one of the things I'd like to do is look at some of the comments that, and there are going to be a lot of comments because we've had about 400, in the 300s, returns so far with still about a week to go. The company we're working with told us that if you get about 8 to 10%, you're doing really well in a survey, and we're at about 14%. So, you know, I think we should table what we're going to put in surveys and let them be responsive to things we see in the results. You know what I'm saying? If things come in, and then we could have a conversation about what should go in.
I appreciate reflexing the data.
Yeah. I think we should see, and you know, because the first 3 surveys are going to be faculty, students, and the ones went out to the parents now, are more climate, culture, whatever term you want to use, right? And then the others would be, I guess, piggybacked off what we see there. Okay.
So the parent survey is already actively out there, and you're already collecting responses?
Well, I can see them on the back end,
Right.
but they're going to this, you know, this plan forward.
But it was already sent out, I mean.
Yeah, oh yeah, it closes on Friday.
Got it.
And we've gotten well over 300 responses.
Is there a
Mr. Conti?
plan, regarding the surveys, is there a plan to send out a reminder on maybe social
We
media?
are going to send one more this week. We sent out one last week, and it pretty much was what I spoke about at Back to School Night. After we sent the reminder out, and whatever that was, 7 or 8 days ago, and I had spoken the night before at Washington and Lincoln, and then the reminder went out, we picked up about 85 surveys right now. We also told people that the open-ended part, and I met with the CEO of the company that did it, talked to her about this. The open-ended was set up where if you didn't put an answer in, you couldn't continue. And I know for myself, if I get a survey like that, I may not want to take all the time to answer every open-ended question. So we put out a new set of directions that said, listen, if there's something you don't have anything to say about, just put out NA. Because that allows you then to go forward, and there may be things you do want to say something about. Don't throw away everything in the survey because it's one question you didn't want to take the time to answer. As long as there's something in that box, you can continue. And I think we saw a little bit of a spike in that as well. After that.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, all right. Old business. Any old business?
I should have said it before we left about the testing results and everything, but just like to say congratulations again for the advanced placement testing results. That's amazing. In a past life, I think I told maybe Mr. Hurley, I worked for the College Board a long time ago as a programmer, educational testing service. And they have a big contingent developing these tests, and they make them difficult.
Oh, yeah.
So it's high esteem to do.
It is, I mean, as a former AP teacher, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And, you know, the kids, we take the test in early May. We have about 7 weeks left of school. And that's because in some parts of the country, school is closing in middle of May, end of May, and it's a nationally normed test, right? So if you're taking an AP class, you're doing work in August on your own in order to get to that part of the curriculum. So the kids work very hard, the teachers work very hard. Most of the teachers go off to training. an intensive training. I don't mean like a one-day workshop. I mean it's a week, and sometimes it's a week away from home. So it is a very strong program. And what I like about it is mostly juniors and seniors can take AP classes. I think there's one class, a sophomore, that can take it. So you're looking at about 400 kids, give or take, and look at the number of kids that are taking tests. So it's not this elite club we're creating, you know? It's open to a lot of kids.
Congratulations.
Old business. Going once, twice, all right. Legislative update, Ms. Jones?
Not tonight.
Nothing this evening? All right, we do have a need for an executive session.
3 student issues.
Yeah,
and
3 student issues,
1 legal.
1 legal, no action to be taken. Need a motion to go into executive session. Mr. Mazzone, seconded by Mr. Bogosian. All in favor? Aye. All right, we're going into executive session. Thank you.